Hey guys, Matt with CJ Off-Road here. Today we're going to be doing an installation on our 2015 Chevy Silverado that's really going to improve the performance of the lighting abilities of the back of this truck. Now you guys have probably seen a ton of these LED light bars on the market. However, the PUTCO Blade light bar is one of the top of the line light bars, and with this kit that we have today is going to make it completely plug and play with the exception of two wires, which you just have to butt connect to make them work. Now the advantage of putting a PUTCO 60-inch blade light bar on the back of your Silverado is that you're going to increase visibility as well as extremely change up the performance of your reverse lighting. Now with this light bar, we're going to install it. There's a couple different options you can do, as well as this quick plug-and-play 7-pin wiring connector. This is going to work with a ton of different vehicles, Ford, Toyota, Dodge, and Chevy all together to make this more of a plug-and-play design so you don't have to cut into your factory harness. Now today, this is an example of how to do it on a 2015 Silverado. I'm going to take you through some of the steps and how to get it done on your truck. Now since the PUTCO light bar is more of a universal installation and it'll fit a bunch of trucks, we're not really going to dive into the removal of the tailgate as deeply, just because it's a universal product and you have a bunch of different trucks. Now I will mention, if you do have a truck that has a reverse camera mounted onto the tailgate, there's normally a connector onto the back underneath your bed. Now on the Silverado, it's going to be on the driver's side and it's the third over from the right. You'll simply unplug that, fish the wire up, and we can remove the tailgate. If you don't have a reverse camera, it's going to be even easier because you can just pull the tailgate right off and get ready to work. I'm going to go ahead and get this pulled off. Once it's off, we'll show you the steps of getting the light bar on and then plugging it in with that easy, quick connection plug. As you can see guys, we've got the tailgate removed. Brendan and I pulled it off and set it aside in a safe location. I'm going to recommend doing this because it's a lot easier to get your hands in here and really clean this inside of the tailgate area to make sure you have good adhesion when you put on that light bar. The next thing we also did was remove our 7 and 4 pin wiring connector. Now this is a factory Chevy one here, as well as GM. And in order to get most of these off on many different makes, you simply depress on both of these silver areas and that's going to let it pop out. There's one on each side. It can be a little bit tricky to get to, but these are pretty much universal. There's two of these, just one on each side, and you pop them off and you're good to go. This is really where the magic happens. This is going to be the vehicle side connector, and this is where we're going to plug in that adapter harness to make sure we can get everything plugged in without having to tap into things. Now you know me here at CJ's, I love to make things plug and play and just make them work without having to cut, modify, and trim. If you're into that, or you don't mind snipping a couple wires on your truck, you don't have to get this adapter harness, but if you're one of those guys that really wants to keep a factory look, or if you ever trade your truck in, you're good to go. So if you mount the blade up too high, you're not going to be able to see it when you close the tailgate. That's an issue that you might have. It looks good up there until you put the tailgate back on. What we're going to do is get it as low as we can without having it being hidden by this lip here on the factory bumper. Each bumper will be different, so I'm not going to give any measurements for this. Just line it up, and I like to sit on the ground and see where it's exactly flush, because you've got to imagine someone in a car or a lower vehicle behind you. You still want them to be able to see it, but you still want someone up top to be able to see it as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to line that up, get that stuck on. There's 3 different ways you can do it. I'll talk a little bit about that, but first get it on there and then we'll show you the wiring. So when you're mocking this up, there is going to be a small little indentation in the center here, and that's where your indicators are going to be. So when you have your right turn signal on or your left turn signal, that's what's going to separate those two. And what I like to do is line that up into the center section of the bed. With the Chevy Silverado, we have this hole in the center here. So there's a small line, you won't be able to see it on camera, with the center of this. Get it as close to possible as you can. And then what I'm going to do is just mock this up and eyeball it exactly where I want it. Now you'll be able to judge this when you sit back a little bit, maybe have someone hold it for you and just kind of eye it up before you finally put it on. So we're just going to play with it a little bit here and get it lined up perfectly for us. So there are 3 different options, as I was mentioning, on mounting this. Now this is the PUTCO bracket right here, which is going to clip into that tailgate light bar and hold it. You have an option of drilling it in and screwing that down, or using a 3M adhesive on the back like we are here. Personally, I like to use these clips because if you would need to remove it for any other reason, you can simply leave these on the truck, pull the tailgate light bar off, and you're good. If you want to permanently mount it besides using the bracket, you can just use the included 3M, put them on the back of the light bar, and then put it right under the truck. I like to use these personally. I've done it a few times just because it makes it a lot easier with the 3M on the back there to line this up and then put the tailgate light bar where you want. Now with us on our truck, we've used Simple Green to clean it off first, and then we've got some alcohol prep just to clean up the entire thing and make sure this sticks really well. You don't have to clean up the back of the light bar because it's going to clip in there, so no need to worry about that, but just make sure the surface it's going to mount to is super clean. So we're lining this up at 2 1/4 inches from the light bar to the center of this protrusion. What I'm going to do is actually just make a little mark right here and that's where that's gonna sit. So I clipped it on here first, and now what I'm gonna do is pull the 3M off of the back of these when I go to put it on the truck, but I'm just gonna line them both up first like this on the outside, and then once those two are holding, we can put on some on the inside once it's at its perfect kind of length and distance. Another nice thing about using these clips and brackets is that you can adjust it left to right too, so you don't have to worry about if you made it over to the right too far. You can simply slide it in those and clip it back in. So as you can see, guys, we've got both of these marked. Now what I'm going to do is pull the 3M backing on both sides off, line these up, and stick them on. Now the reason I keep it clipped on is that way you know it's perfectly straight and you don't have to move it at all, and it's going to clip in and hold it really nice and tight. So let's go ahead and do that now. Just peel the backing off. Takes a little bit too. Might help to use a razor blade, but after doing it for a while, I can tell you that I'm still no expert at it. So, okay guys, now that we have both of those pulled, we're gonna set the light bar into place. Now in order to do that, I'm gonna try and get it as close as I can to the center marking, like I had said before. However, if it's not perfectly there, that is a-okay. I just want the height to be exactly accurate. Okay guys, so we got those two stuck on. You can see in the center here, we still got a little bit of flop. Now you can use all 4 of them. However, I think 3 looks a lot more uniform. So I'm gonna take one of these and line it up in the center at the same spot, you know, 2 1/4 inches like we did before, and then stick this one on and get it done. So let's grab our handy tape measure. And we're just at 2 1/4 there. So what I'll do is we will take the backing off of this middle one. Take that off and actually clip it on the back here. And then what we'll do is, while we're using the tape measure, measure the top of the light bar at 2 1/4. Go ahead and stick it on. So perfectly happy with that. I got it nice and centered, and it's the exact same height as the rest of them. So get that pushed on there nice and good and tight. So what we're going to do is take the longer side and plug it into the body side connection. We're looking for a click, and I just heard it, and we'll push that safety tab back down. And now this side here is going to go onto the outside. That's what you plug your trailer into, and that's going to clock in exactly like this. It can only go in one way, and that'll also clip too. So we didn't really hear it as much, but it is clipped in. Now the benefit of using this is that you do have this 4-pin trailer connection, which is what that PUTCO blade is going to plug into. And then I've already taken the liberty of putting 2 butt connectors. This is going to be a positive and a negative for your reverse light. Now the white here is going to go into the white on the PUTCO harness. You can see there's a longer white wire that comes off. And then the black is going to go onto the red wire that's on your PUTCO blade. And you can tell which red wire it is because it's got a little bit of heat shrink on it. So that's the one that you're meant to cut. Look for that one because there are 2. Use the one with the heat shrink on it. Cut that, put it onto the black, and then the white is going to be cut and put onto the white here. So pretty simple. Then we'll take the 4-pin at the end, and that'll just simply plug into that connection. So we'll get all this done here. But like I said, black goes to the red with the heat shrink on it. White goes to the white, and then it'll simply plug in, and we can get everything tucked up and out of the way and use a couple zip ties to make it cleaner in the back. So what we're gonna do is, you can see I've trimmed up this white wire and cleared it off. That's gonna go on the white for the reverse light. So then we're gonna cut this one here that has the heat shrink on it. Cut it right in the center. And we'll trim that back. And then what we're gonna do is take this red one coming out of the connector, kind of isolated the red and the white there, and we'll plug these into the perspective ones up top, so white to white and then red to black. And those will get crimped on there with a butt connector, and then we'll heat shrink them to make sure they stay. So that one's crimped on, and we'll grab this red one. So for the red wire, what you're gonna do is trim it on this side, and then plug this into the black connection that comes out of the harness. All right, so we're gonna tuck some of these wires away, use a couple zip ties and a little bit of tape. Then we'll put the tailgate back on and show you guys how it looks. Alright guys, well that's a wrap on this PUTCO blade light bar on the back of our 2015 Silverado. Now what made this really easy was that plug-and-play designed wiring harness by PUTCO that's going to be available for a ton of your different trucks. Overall, this light bar, we just showed you the functionality of it, and it's really going to enhance the safety and visibility of the rear end of your truck. If you have a modern truck that has LED lighting too, this is going to accent it really well and give you a super bright reverse light when you're backing up on the trail or going to hook up a hitch or anything like that. The cool part is you don't have to cut into any of the factory wiring. It all plugs into your 7-way harness in the back and you're good to go. In about 2 hours, you can put this on in your driveway after you take off the tailgate and have a really nice looking back end feature of your brand new pickup. Now, if you want to find this PUTCO light as well as many other great products for your brand new pickup, be sure to check us out at cjponyparts.com. Hope you enjoyed that video. To stay up to date on our CJ Off-Road videos, make sure to subscribe up top here, and for any other installs, make sure to click the link right above.